Oh, yeah. Excessive celebration, a sports show, a documentary, a mockumentary, if you will. Hi, Billy.
Can anybody tell me what that instrument is making that sound? What is that?
Um, anybody's wife? Oh, Bill, I can't believe you prompted me to say that. You're listening to Excessive Celebration, two single guys here on Crossover Radio. That's radio with a purpose. And we are continuing a look at Berry Tramels' top 150 of the greatest Oklahoma Sooners of all time. We got through the top 20, and we're going to take a look at the next 25 or so. Jason White, number 22, Bill. Hard to argue that he isn't someone that deserves a top 25 or 30 rating.
Yeah.
Clinton Thomas.
Although, can I deduct him a couple of spots for all those horrible commercials he's been putting out on TV?
Well,
I feel that drops him like 5 spots.
Right. So you got Clinton Thomas, who was a great big bruiser, fullback, and runner back in the 50s for Wilkinson. Sam Bradford, number 24. You talk about a lottery winner, the last guy to get the guaranteed money, $64 million man. Good for you, Sam. Good for you.
And just recently got released from the Cardinals too.
Yeah.
But still,
another guy from OU.
Still was making money.
Still
was getting signed for max contract. Sam Bradford, way to go! Did the NFL right?
Well, and hopefully he shared some of that money because fortunate enough that I spent a lot of time playing with in Little League and against his uncle Kyle, who was at Putnam City and Hefner Junior High, middle school, once upon a time. Great family.
You know what I always thought about Bradford was that obviously has all the talent in the world. I don't think ever, and I know he's 3-4 teams now, I don't think he ever truly found the right fit for his talent. And now it's kind of the journeyman syndrome of where can I be a backup and fit in and fill need. And it may be that situation to where he fits in like a Fitzpatrick in the league now and kind of wins you a couple ball games or kind of can stem a couple of ball games.
Or maybe he just takes that pretty smile and his $64 million and does whatever he feels like doing with it. But I don't have anything to worry about is going forward. Number 25 is Tommy Harris. Maybe a little high for me, but if you take into his NFL career, like you were talking about, and then we're going to go on down. Dewey Selman, 31. Ricky Dixon was a great ball player at 32. Gerald McCoy, 33.
See, okay, so you mentioned McCoy and. Where was the other one?
Ricky Dixon?
No, go back up.
Dewey Selman.
No.
Tommy Harris.
So Tommy Harris and Gerald McCoy, to me, in college, and then even now more so in the NFL, I don't think they've ever lived up to potential, honestly, and especially Gerald McCoy's case. Harris probably shined a little bit more in college than McCoy did, but to me it always seemed like they, I don't want to say aren't fully committed, but they just never lived up to the hype that surrounded them.
Well, that may be true at the pro level, but I think regarding what they did at OU, because all you ever hear them talk about nowadays is, we don't have the guys on defense, we don't have the Gerald McCoys, we don't have the Tommy Harrises. Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I know, but I know McCoy's eight-time Pro Bowler and all that stuff, but it's just. Is it because he's that good, or is it because there's nobody else that's that good at his position?
I think you probably have to go back that far to find anybody that is worthy of being in the top of this thing in terms of defensive linemen.
Right.
Tom Brahaney, All-American center at Oklahoma. However, there's a guy named Rich Glover that was the nose guard at Nebraska at the same time that pretty much owned Tom. Tom was probably better than every other nose tackle or interior lineman he ever faced as a center, except one, and it just happened to be Nebraska's Rich Glover. Granny Liggins, number 66, was the another nose tackle or nose guard at OU. and was a huge factor in Oklahoma's Orange Bowl win over Tennessee back in the 60s. Maybe the very first OU football game I ever watched, Bill. Ricky Bryant, Derek Strait, we talked about him before.
Yeah.
Another guy I hate because he stopped Zach Robinson at the goal line back a few years ago. I don't really hate him, but I hated the play that he made at the time. Ricky Bryant, great ball player. Adrian Peterson's number 43. Adrian Peterson is number 43. The rationale, Bill, was injuries kept him from being having a top 10 ranking. Okay, if you accept that,
then
how do you go from 10 not being in the top 10 to 43?
But how is Jason White up there?
That one to me was one of them I looked really hard at. And then right after him at 48, Lucius Selman.
Even if that is your case, Peterson deserves to be in the top 20 at least.
That was my thing. Okay, he's not top 10 because he was injured.
Right.
43? Yeah. I didn't see that.
But you've got Jason White up there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But Lucius Selman, number 48, and this is how important Lucius Selman is. He actually, in my opinion, ought to be maybe up there ahead of Leroy and Dewey. And here's why. Because if Lucius Selman would have chosen to go to Colorado, which was the other school he was looking at, the odds that his little brothers go to OU are slim and none.
So that makes him the most important player to ever play.
It's an argument to be made. Let's put it that way. Steve Zabel, number 55. Zabel was a guy that could play both tight end and linebacker and ended up going up to New England, Bill. When Chuck Fairbanks got the New England job, he immediately started drafting Sooners, and he picked up another guy on this list, a guy named Raymond Hamilton that went by the nickname Sugar Bear. Teddy Lehman, number 56 on the list. Yeah.
How did they know my nickname for you?
Some things just can't be kept secret there, big fella. Rocky Kalmus, number 58. Darrell Ray, number 59. Darrell Ray has a sandwich shop in Norman that I frequent quite often. Good food. Number 61, you have to help me with this. This must go way back. Kyler Murray. Only a one-year starter, but what a year it was. Now, do you remember him?
Vaguely. It was I guess it was a short career for him.
Right. Yeah. Here's one. And again, you asked a great question. What's the criteria here? Number 64, Samaje Perine. All he is OU's all-time leading rusher.
Yeah, but at 64, however you want to sort him out, maybe top 50. I could probably see him somewhere in there, but
think about that statement, and I don't disagree with you. It's all what you see. You know,
right.
It's does that guy excite you because Kenny King's further down on the list, and he made a play that won the Texas game years ago that was about as good as any running play you've ever seen, and that got me juiced up. You know, anytime Texas loses, it gets me juiced up. But in this case, yeah, that's Perine. Tinker Owens, number 73. The only thing I can tell you about Tinker Owens is that he caught everything anybody threw his way. I happen to be pretty good friends with a buddy of his, a guy named Jack West, Bill, that went to the University of New Mexico and played wide receiver with Tinker with the New Orleans Saints, and then Jack ended his career with the Dallas Cowboys. And let's just say that Tinker Owens and Jack West had a pretty good time in New Orleans back in the late 70s as professional
frequented sandwich shops is what you're saying?
They enjoyed mufaladas often. Yeah, Raymond Hamilton, I had mentioned him at number 79, but squeezed in between there at 74, and Jamel Holloway won a national championship. And number 77, Bill, Kelly Gregg. Kelly Gregg, I think we spoke about him some semi-way a couple of weeks ago. Here's the statement they made about Kelly Gregg. He's the shining star of the John Blake era. Bill, that's like being the best fusion chef in Ponca City, Oklahoma.
Well, you've got that spot knocked down, so.
Well, I can sushi with the best of them. I can. I'm a sashimi kind of guy, though. I don't like the rice. I like the tissue. So Kelly Gregg, Raymond Hamilton, number 83, Jimbo Elrod, and I think this is way too low. This guy was All-American, played for the Kansas City Chiefs forever. Those of you that listen to sports radio and did over the years may remember a caller that called into a certain station, went by the name Jiggin Joggin Jim. That was Jimbo Elrod. He actually passed away in a car accident a few years ago. Very tragic, but a great ball player. You got Jimmy Harris, and then the guy that I can't believe is this low, number 93 on the list, Bill, Steve Davis, quarterback from Sallisaw, Oklahoma. Not number 93. Here's his record, Bill: 32, 1, and 1. How's that?
I mean, that you're talking Tebow numbers right there.
32 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie. Prentice Gott, he broke the OU color line, but was a heck of a football player, running back at OU 57 to 59. Number 102, Bill, DeMarco Murray. His biggest issue was coming right after Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
That's what hurt him. And then I just put this guy's on here just because I thought, hey, this guy was a tough dude, but he had to live up to a tough name, Buck McPhail. I mean, you got to overcome that right away, don't you? Then Jim Files, 115, played for the Giants as well, really good. Kenneth Pope, Clyde Powers were early 70s guys, part of some great Orange Bowl teams. Tony Peters and his brother Terry Peters, both great players at OU and in the pros. In fact, Terry's daughter, Bethany, used to work for me, so I had a chance to know that family pretty well. Damon Parker, Bill, 126, my favorite story. Go ahead, and I got a story for you about Damon.
I remember Damon really, really well, and especially playing in OU, then playing with the Dolphins. And I thought Damon was going to be, and then he played with the Packers for a while.
Yes, he did.
I thought Damon was going to be a really good running back.
You know,
really good in the NFL.
Came out of Tulsa, Washington, correct?
Really? Oh, no, I didn't know.
Yeah, he had a very best friend that was at Tulsa, Washington, that was a year behind him, and they had always decided that they were going to play together. And so this guy went to OU. He was being recruited by the colonel, Mr. Schnellenberger, and this guy walked into Schnellenberger's office with a baseball cap on, and Schnellenberger literally knocked the cap off this young man's head and said, "You don't walk into my office covered," like it was some military operation. The young man picked up the hat, put it on his head, and R.W. McQuarters left that office and signed with Oklahoma State the next day.
I will say, R.W. is probably my favorite OSU player that's played.
Played basketball as well. Yeah. Melvin Gillum did that too. But yeah, that's just a neat story. And they were best friends and remained best friends. Lydell Carr, you talk about a nasty dude from Enid, Oklahoma. He was a monster. Kenny King, I mentioned. I'm a fan of Kenny's because even though he wore crimson and cream, he was able to shed that and wear the silver and black for quite some time at Oakland. Number 134, Marcus Dupree. I don't even know what to tell you about that guy other than in terms of raw talent, Marcus Dupree would be Jimmy Brown and Adrian Peterson have a love child, and it's Marcus Dupree. And then the last night on the list to comment on, Bill, number 149, Torrance Marshall. And all Torrance Marshall did was save OU's championship season with a performance down at Kyle Field that was ridiculous. He won that game for OU.
He was the attitude behind that defense.
I agree. And that to me, at 149 Marshall, and then Steve Davis in the 90s when all he did was go 31-1-1. Those are the biggest issues I have. But it was so fun, Bill, looking back through the days and looking at these and remembering some of these great names because, as I said, I grew up just like anyone else watching and being immersed in OU football. I just didn't happen to take the oath of loyalty and claim it as a birthright and all of that. But I certainly remember and respect every one of these people on this list.
Real quick, I'll throw out a couple of names who I don't necessarily think they belong on the list. There's one I think for sure belongs on the list.
Keep in mind, these aren't everybody.
Yeah,
I
I
skipped
understand
probably 25%.
but I want you to tell me if you think, or if they were on the list, if you can remember. Malcolm Kelly on the list?
I'm not sure. For
He's
some
probably
reason, I'm
not.
thinking not.
Yeah. What about Jermaine Gresham?
Yes.
Yes.
Jermaine Gresham is number 63.
Okay.
Another guy I hate because he caught a tipped pass that kept a drive alive right in front of me at the 30-yard line up in Stillwater that broke our backs and my heart yet again.
What about Garrett Hartley?
No, I don't think he made it. I think the only kicker on the list was Uwe von Schaman.
So Simon's on there.
No.
This is the one that I think should be on that list. I don't know where you would rate him. It may be in the 80s to 90s. I would probably rate him a little bit higher, but J.D. Reynolds.
Reynolds?
Reynolds, yeah.
I'm not sure if he was on the list or not. I don't think so, but again, it's not fair for me to say one way or the other. I really, I looked at all of these. There were so many people that I thought were interesting and worth mentioning that I probably could have spent more time to look at that. But
I was going to say,
it's a long list.
To me, he, as far as the college player, probably the best complete fullback I've ever seen play the game.
Yeah. And by all rights, did everything right as a locker room guy, too.
And I've got two more real quick. Reggie Smith.
Very familiar with Reggie.
Santa Fe product.
Yes, I watched him play when he was in middle school against my son and against Zach Bradford, who was another from the Bradford clan. So, yeah. Who's the other, Bill?
Well, the last one, I cannot remember his name, and my wife
That's going to be tough for
my
me.
My wife is going to kill me. The kick returner / cornerback, and I want to say it's like Perkins or I can't remember his name. It was only a couple of years ago, maybe. Well, I say a couple of years ago, probably like
Antonio Perkins.
Yeah, I think that's what I want to say, but I feel like that's wrong.
It could be him, and of course they had the punt returner. They had a couple of guys that were transfers. One from Penn State that came was a wideout and played, but I think he returned. Yeah. There was another one that made a punt return against Oklahoma State that broke a game open at the end, and I can't remember his name.
Savage is another good name that comes to mind, but I don't know if he would rate on this list. I bet Reynolds for sure, or Reynolds, or however you want to pronounce it.
J.D. Reynolds.
He is amazing. I mean, he was amazing in college.
Yeah. It really kind of boils down at some point, too, is like how many fullbacks belong around here. So.
Well, I would have thought Seibert would have got a mention at least for all he did.
Kicker.
I understand, but
the kicker.
He gave Baker a lot of good cups of water when he was dehydrated. He kicked everything.
Wow, now they're going to have 3 or 4 guys trying to do that job. Going to need a whole coaching staff. What a concept. Coaching special teams. Payne County ought to try that sometime. Used to work. We'll be back. Excessive celebration, Bill.
Get that out. Or kick that out.